for this session. This session is titled Security Guards Licensing Journey Case Study, how the Department of Licensing improved the licensing experience for security guards. Our first presenter is Alicia Myers. Alicia leads the customer experience team at the Washington State Department of Licensing, where she works to bring the customer perspective into every part of service delivery. She brings more than 2 decades of experience in state government across business, technology, and change management, and is a longtime champion for human-centered service in the public sector. She will be joined by Danica Taylor. Danica leads one of DOL's licensing and customer support teams focused on professional and business licensing. With 20 years of customer service experience, she brings a deep commitment to making licensing more accessible, responsive, and centered on the needs of Washington residents. And they will be also joined by Dee Sharp. Dee manages the business and professional licensing customer service teams at DOL. And she brings over 14 years of experience across the division. Her leadership centers on public service, staff empowerment, and high-quality customer care, including past work regulating real estate appraisers statewide. And lastly, Kenzie Rios will be joining. Kenzie supports agency-wide CX strategy and design, helping translate customer research into better processes and tools across DOL. With a background in user experience research and design, she brings a strong expertise in journey mapping, usability, and customer advocacy. We have full bios on all of our presenters today, available in the session page of our conference website if you would like to read more about them. And now I will hand it over to you, Alicia. Stop sharing. All right, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Anne. Let me take a moment to get my screen loaded up for us all. Okay, excellent. Well, thank you all for joining us today. We are thrilled to be here with you and talking about customer experience, something very near and dear to our work and our hearts. Today, we are really excited to share about a case study that we did on how we used customer journey mapping to improve the licensing experience for one of our many professional domains, security guards, and then the results that we had using this great tool from the customer experience toolbox. So let's start by doing, we just did intros, but we'll do a quick introduction from our team. Alicia Myers, I lead our customer experience team at DOL, and we work with business teams across our agency to understand and improve their customer experience.
Hi, I'm Danica Taylor. I am the professional licensing representative 2, leading the licensing team for security guards.
Hi, everyone. I am Kenzie Rios. I am a customer experience analyst on the customer experience team. I focus on user research and customer journey mapping.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dee Sharp, and I am a program manager at the Department of Licensing and have the privilege of leading the licensing and customer support services team for our business and professions division.
Awesome. Thank you, team. All right, quick review of our agenda for our time together today. We are going to start by first talking about what do we mean when we say customer experience and customer journey map. We'll talk a little bit about our business context and some of the challenges we were facing in our business team. Then we'll do a deep dive into how we went about building the map, and we'll actually walk you through the map that we built as well. It's fantastic, full of all of the good things that make up a great customer journey map. And then we'll talk about what improvements we generated and decided to implement, and then finally the results that we had as a result of all of those. And we will have some time for question and answer at the end of our presentation. So please feel free to pop your thoughts and questions in, and we'll tackle those at the end of the presentation with you all. All right, starting with a quick level set on, so we have that common understanding for customer experience. Customer experience is the sum of interactions that a customer has with an organization, such as state, government services, and includes all of the interactions that make up their experience, which include digital and in-person touchpoints. So anytime a customer is calling in to get support, navigating a website, using an application, downloading a form, mailing it in, all of those are touch points and make up that customer experience. And customer experience will explore things from the customer perspective. Things like, were they able to get what they needed? What was their experience like? Was it intuitive and helpful? Or was it painful and challenging and confusing? Maybe it had some jargon or governmentese. Did they feel like what they needed to do was simple and effective, or did it feel like you were playing a game and you don't have a copy of the rules, which unfortunately sometimes happens in government. So let's talk for a moment about why we care about that in government. Private organizations have been focusing on customer experience for several decades because there's a lot of business benefits in it. If you go do any research out there, you will find that companies who do customer experience well have more revenue, they have more profits, they have lower customer churn, all these other really great for-profit benefits, and good for them. They're investing in CX, they should reap the rewards. Our business model in government, however, is different, which we've talked about at a couple of different sessions today. And it's different in a couple of different ways. One is when you're working with government, you can't just return it and go to another store, find someone else to work with. Customers have to work with us to get what they need. They can't always go somewhere else. And if you think about the kinds of services that we deliver in government, they are not often optional. We are the people and the processes and the data and the technology that sit in between our customers and what they need to be able to access. Things like driver licenses and identification and food benefits and cash benefits and unemployment insurance and approvals to open and run and operate businesses safely. So what this means is when we have poor customer experience in government, customers will have real life impacts like not being able to support themselves or their families. And that's a really big consequence for not getting it right. So the good news is when we do get it right, when we listen and respond to customer feedback, it creates positive experiences and it builds trust and advocacy in government. But beyond that, it's huge and impactful to our customers' lives, our neighbors and our community members and our society. And this is probably why many of us are drawn to work in public service in the first place. So this is just one take on customer experience in government, but this is one of the reasons why it's so critical to have strong customer experience in government, to know what it's like for our customers to interact with us, to find and fix what is painful and challenging for them, and to use their voices and their feedback and their ideas to make improvements in those journeys. And that is also a big lift. So how do we go about doing that? Well, the good news is there's a lot of tools out there and methods that we can use to understand our customer's perspective. One of those is a customer journey map. And what I mean when I say customer journey map is simply a model that visually represents an experience. Several of you have probably had some sort of interaction with process maps where we're documenting the steps through a process, maybe some decision points, maybe some handoffs. A customer journey map is very similar in that visual diagram piece, except that it's written from the customer's point of view. We capture things like what are the customer tasks? How are they feeling? There's very much a component of deep customer understanding and empathy in customer journey maps as well. And you'll often see things in customer journeys like smiley faces or customer thoughts or emotions as they're going through all of those steps of the journey. And lastly, customer journey maps are very driven by data. They are grounded in information and they are grounded in evidence. And you'll hear a bit more about this from one of our teammates on how we approached our research for this later in the presentation. So now we have an understanding of customer experience, we have an understanding of customer journey maps. Let's take a quick look at where this work originated with DOL, which was our strategic plan. We had 4 different strategic priority areas for this strategic plan. They're engaged and prepared employees, equity and inclusion, safe and supported communities, and safe and secure data. And in our strategic plan, we wanted to use customer journey mapping as a powerful tool to understand and ultimately improve our customers' experiences. So in partnering with business teams, our business and professions team had chosen this journey because they knew there were challenges. They knew there were some hiccups in the journey that were impacting the customers, and they wanted to understand those more deeply and make improvements. And this work, as you'll hear later in the presentation, ended up touching nearly all of our strategic priorities. Not only were we improving access and supporting communities by creating an easier journey, it also ended up improving the employee experience as well. And now I'll turn it over to Dee to talk a little bit about our business context. Go ahead, Dee.
Thank you, Alicia. Good afternoon, everyone. When we think about the Department of Licensing, many people think of driver's licenses and vehicle tags. Did you know that we also license and regulate over 133 different professions? We license both professionals and businesses across those industries, and together have over 220,000 active licensees. One of those professions is security guards and security guard companies. We have over 20,000 licensed security guards and security guard companies, and we licensed around 8,500 of those in 2024. Today, we're sharing about some improvements we made with our security guard customers using customer journey mapping. Next slide, please. So there were a lot of things going on when we first started planning this effort. We had just undergone a significant organizational change, and we're still adjusting and finding our new normal after the pandemic. We had also transitioned from paper to online interactions, and both our customers and our teams were impacted by this change. Security guard licensing was unique in that security guard companies manage the security guards applications and renewals. For decades, security guards applied using our paper process and would often drop off stacks of applications and payments to go with them. Transitioning to interact with us online was a struggle because the online process was prone to errors, challenging for both guards and companies to complete, and it was a lengthy process. Anecdotally, we knew it was challenging for customers and staff to complete applications and renewals. This project allowed us an opportunity to deeply understand those challenges from a customer's perspective. Now I will turn it over to Kenzie, who will walk us through the customer journey map.
Thank you, Dee. So most of the time that it takes to create a journey map is actually spent conducting the research. Journey maps are meant to be data-based, and they require a lot of upfront research in order to uncover hidden truths and identify root causes. We aim to learn as much as we can about our customers before we ever even attempt to create the map itself. So for this effort, I started off by analyzing hundreds of customer comments, which I pulled from 7 different data sets that we have here at DOL. I also facilitated interviews with internal employees as well as security guard companies. And I completed a digital task analysis, which is where I walk through the process of applying for a security guard license as though I were the customer. This helped me to get into their shoes, understand the screens that our customers were seeing, identify what points have the potential for user error, And it also allowed me to know areas where I struggled, where I think our customers may also be struggling. I also reviewed relevant DOL web pages and other resources to understand the information that's available to our customers. And lastly, I brought together a group of Department of Licensing employees from different areas in the agency where we completed a workshop in which we co-created the very first version of the journey map. This helped me to get a full understanding of the customer's experience from the perspective of the many, many different people who touched the customer's journey. And as a bonus, the journey mapping workshop was a really excellent conversation starter for breaking down some of the silos that were impacting our customers' experience. So now I want to take a look at the journey map that was created from this work. I'll give Alicia just a second to pull that up.
One moment, please.
Perfect, thank you. So I want to start off by giving a rough overview of the structure of the map itself. So the core of the map is this dark purple row, which walks through the steps that our customers need to take in order to get from the point of applying for a job as a security guard all the way to the point of getting their actual license. Below this row, you'll see this lighter purple area. This indicates how our customers were generally feeling at each step in the process. This row allows you to see the highs and lows of the customer's journey at a quick glance. Below this is yet another row. This shows what our customers were thinking at each step in the journey. These are often direct quotes from real customers. And then I want to move back up to the top of the map. You'll see that there are these 5 different light blue rows. These are steps that are taken by people other than the customer, whether that be steps that are taken by Department of Licensing or another party, such as the security guard company, or maybe one of DOL's vendors that we work with. I wanted to include these because while many of the steps are technically invisible to our customers, the impacts of the steps are not. The processes and handoffs that happen behind the scenes can have a really significant influence on our customers' experience, which you will see some of that later on in the map. I also want to quickly call out, you'll notice that some of these steps are highlighted in red. These are steps which some of our guards have to complete and others may not. It really just depends on each guard's specific scenario. So let's go ahead and walk through the customer journey. Before the customer can even apply for a security guard license, they first have to receive a job offer from a security guard company. This job offer is conditional on them getting licensed. Once they have that conditional job offer, they can apply for their license with Department of Licensing. And at the end of the application, they have to pay their fees. You can see from the emotions displayed on this map, this can be a really frustrating step for our customers. There are quite a few things that could go wrong with the payment process, regardless of if it was the guard paying their fees or if the company is paying for them. So once they have their application completed and they've paid their fees, next the customer has to do a fingerprint-based background check with our vendor known as Identigo. The background check can take 2 weeks or longer to complete. And as you can see during this time period, the customer is not completing any actions, but there are other parties, including our vendor Identigo, Washington State Patrol, and a couple of teams within DOL. These parties are all carrying out various tasks in the background to move the application forward. But you can also see that this is a great time of uncertainty for our customers. During this time, our customers aren't receiving any sort of communication about what's happening, and they're simply left waiting often unsure if they're supposed to be doing something to keep their application moving forward, and unsure if maybe there's something wrong with their background check. So once they make it to the point of their background check going through and being added to their record, the customer will be issued a temporary license number pending review of their application by DOL. Once the number is issued, the customer can attend training hosted by their company and take and pass their examination. Once they've completed both these steps, they have to, the security guard company has to add the employee in DOL's portal, and then the employee has to go in and accept that invitation. So at this point, the customer will be issued a temporary guard card, and DOL will now begin the full review of the guard's application. So you can see from this point on, the customer has the potential to experience a roller coaster of negative emotions if certain items are missing from their application. And as you may notice, there are a lot of different things that can be missing. Department of Licensing will send out a request for information to the guard for each of the pieces of their application that are missing. And it's the customer's responsibility to coordinate with the appropriate parties to get all of these missing items back to DOL. Once they've done this, the customer can finally move forward with their process. You can see that at the time of this map's creation, the process from completing the guard application to receiving their license could take anywhere from 2 to 3 months, which is a really significant period of time when we're talking about somebody's livelihood and their career. So at this point in the process, they are able to become licensed and can proceed with on-the-job training. I'm going to pass it off to Danica now to talk about the impacts that this map has had on the licensing journey.
Thanks, Kenzie. Where's the slide? Sorry.
Coming right up, just
Okay,
a moment.
thank you.
Switching screens over here in the background.
Gotcha. Okay.
There you go.
All right. So we worked directly with our subject matter experts to find and put in place solutions that remove barriers to licensure. As you'll see here, we made progress in 3 key areas that have really made a difference for our customers. First step was fingerprinting. So security guards have to go through a fingerprint-based background check. And before this project, the info on our website was confusing and a little bit out of date. So with the help of our team and customer insights that Kenzie and Alicia brought forward, we were able to lay out exactly what applicants need to know to complete the fingerprinting process. We cleaned up the language, we made the instructions easier to follow, and added a direct link to a detailed step-by-step guide on our site. It was a small change, but it led to great responses from customers who said they really appreciated having clear, consistent info that's easy to find in one place. Next, we turn to the customer portal. By combining feedback from customers with the on-the-ground experiences of our subject matter experts, we pinpointed a few problem areas that were making it harder for people to self-serve, especially around the payment process for security guards. Working alongside our system experts, we were able to fix the issues and streamline the process, making things a lot smoother for users. Along the way, we also realized we didn't have a single go-to training plan for our back office processes. As a team, we felt it was important to make sure everyone had access to the same info and tools. So we took this opportunity to map out processes for all license types, document the operational knowledge of our subject matter experts, and create easy to follow guides and best practices. So far, this has alleviated a lot of uncertainty for both our experts and our new team members. This has made a real difference, not just for our team, but for our customers too. We're seeing a faster turnaround time for licensing, and our new staff are getting up to speed quickly and becoming experts themselves. Next slide. Okay, we've also made a number of other improvements based on what we were hearing from both customers and team members. For starters, we kicked off work to simplify license printing through the portal. This came from multiple licensing areas asking for an easier way, and our team collaborated with system experts to work on some quick updates to let customers print their licenses themselves. This has been one of the top reasons people reach out to us, so making the print license feature more intuitive has been a big win for everyone. When it came to trying to reach us by phone, security guard customers had been telling us that long hold times were frustrating and that they'd really appreciate a callback option. With our new phone system, we were finally able to make that happen. Since rolling it out, customers have told our team how much they appreciate it. It shows that we're listening and that we value their time. We also made a big improvement behind the scenes, streamlining how applications and documents get uploaded into our licensing system. This one change has cut processing time by more than 60%, meaning our team can handle more applications per hour. In the end, that helps us license people faster and more efficiently. All of these updates have helped create a better experience for our customers and made day-to-day work smoother and more productive for our licensing teams. Next slide. Thank you. The results speak for themselves. So by the end of this process, we saw real-world improvements for our customers, the public, and our team, all backed by data. By the numbers, time to license dropped by over 50% from about 2 months to under 1 month. Critical back office processes are now completed 60% faster. We made the licensing process easier for guards to complete and for employees to process applications. Our licensing team has doubled in size. We saw a 72% decrease in incoming calls and a 9% increase in the number of calls answered. We also rolled out a new phone system, making it easier than ever to respond quickly and effectively. And yes, we're still dialing in, pun intended, how we use that data to keep getting better. We also invested in better employee training, giving our licensing team a major confidence boost. And it shows in the way they serve our customers. There have been no downsides to this work. We're better professionals than we were before, not because we care more, but because we found ways to turn that care into action. I'll turn it back over to Alicia.
Woo, thank you, Danica. Every time I hear you run through those numbers and think about the impacts to the team, I want to cheer. I'm totally amazed. By stepping back, it takes time to do customer journey maps, as you heard. But by taking that time to step back, to look at our business from a customer point of view, we really were able to make changes from what we learned. And this work helped us fulfill our agency purpose, which is helping every Washington resident live, work, drive, and thrive. So we can't fix what we don't understand, really, at the end of the day. And customer journey maps are a really valuable tool to build that understanding and that empathy. So just to recap our approach for this work again, we first started by defining our business challenge and really getting clear on our scope. We gathered and analyzed a lot of really amazing data, and then used that and worked with our team to create a draft customer journey map that really called out those elements. What is the customer going through? What are their tasks? How are they feeling? What are they thinking? Where are they getting stuck? When we had that visual, we were able to meet with our cross-functional team, and looking at that together, we generated a lot of different ideas that could benefit customers. And from there, we had a list. Oh gosh, I forgot how many were on our list, but it was pretty significant. So the business team and the leadership team went through those, chose which ideas we could implement, created a roadmap for themselves. And as a result, we were able to harness that information and make improvements that impacted both our customers and our team. So we hope that you all gained through our case study today some knowledge and some inspiration to try customer journey mapping within your own organizations. For those of you in Washington State, we're going to be mapping our key services under the executive order. So maybe there was something that could help you in this presentation as well. But really, at the end of the day, whether you are building a customer journey map or mystery shopping your own organization services, or simply asking some of your customers what their experience was like to interact with you, don't wait. I promise you will learn something new by looking from the customer perspective, which is the start of change for delivering great customer experiences. And with that, we would love to answer your questions.
All right, we have some great questions coming in, and as they come to y'all in the audience, please put them into the Q&A, and we have a good amount of time to answer them. So I will just start at the top. How long did the data gathering take for the journey map, and how long for the whole analysis?
Kenzie, go ahead. That's all you.
Yeah, I can take that one. So at Department of Licensing, we're really fortunate to have a lot of really mature, robust data sets. So gathering the data for the customer comments, we actually already had that data pouring in continuously, actually over like the last 15 years, I believe. So I was able to grab that pretty quickly. The analysis of that data took quite a bit longer, probably 20 to 30 hours. To do the complete journey map, I believe was about 6 months to complete. However, that was our very first journey map. Our team is relatively new. We were building process. We were figuring out what works with us and the business team, and we are getting quicker and quicker with each journey map that we do.
So related to that, what mechanisms did you use to obtain your customers' experiences in order to add that to your customer journey map? And if you're not able to obtain customer feedback, do you have any tips for how to create a well-rounded customer journey map?
I can take that one again. So to obtain the customer's experiences, we started out with existing data that we already had. From those data sets, they are mostly customer comments that I was pulling in and analyzing. And my apologies, the question disappeared from me. So we also did interviews, and this is actually a part of your second question, which was we wanted to also interview security guards directly, and anybody who's done customer research knows how hard it can be to get participation. So we struggled and fought and were unable to get more than one person to talk to us. So to kind of work around that, we worked with frontline staff, people who are talking to customers day in and day out and really seeing those challenges firsthand, as well as security guard companies. Because they have their own perspective, but they have that intimate knowledge of what the guard is going through. And then Alicia, did you have anything you wanted to add regarding the how you make a journey map when you don't have access to good feedback?
I actually think you touched on it already, so I'll just answer from a different perspective. There's always something that you can do. One of the things we had mentioned earlier in our journey, or our presentation rather, was a task analysis, which is literally you go and like mystery shop your service. You pretend like you're a customer, call your contact center, apply for that license, and pretend like you are a customer navigating the website, and you're looking at your business from a customer's point of view. So if you do nothing else, you can certainly start there. But a really, really great way to add to that is to talk to the customer's team who supports those customers. They talk to these customers every day. They know what the top pain points are. They know where customers get stuck. They know what is causing the most pain and frustration. So those are two strategies we would definitely recommend to, if you don't have data, that you can start gathering that information.
Wonderful. We have a lot of interest in y'all's beautiful journey map that you shared today. Would you be willing to share that with us in a form that we can post it to our website or share it out with attendees?
We will, I will want to partner with our business team leadership on that as well, but we'll take that as an action item and circle back with y'all on that.
Great, thank you so much. Let's see. Are you mapping endorsements and their pain points? We have a comment from Sarah, especially the motor vehicle dealer endorsement.
We are not actively mapping that. Gosh, if we had all of the time in the world, my dream is to have a customer journey map of every journey we deliver in Department of Licensing. But there's limited hours in the day. So we are not currently mapping that. We have some other business and professions journeys that we'll be mapping. And then we have a few more that touch our drivers and vehicles side of our business that we'll be mapping through the executive order as well. But that particular one is not on there.
All right, Kathy writes, this seems to only include the happy path. It doesn't include if a background check is not approved or they don't pass the exam. So was that an intentional decision to only examine the happy path, or how would you respond to that?
I can take that one. Yes, this is a really, really good question and something that was an intentional decision. When trying to do a journey map, what I wanted to have as an end result was something that people could look at and pretty easily understand the customer's journey at a high level. And when trying to go down the many, many different paths that are possible, it got to be way too big, way too complicated. So what I did instead was called out areas where things could go wrong. I didn't go down those paths, but rather showed where they exist. And then while I didn't include it on the map itself, I did have, like in my report out and the documentation that I provided alongside this map to the business team, discussions about some of those things that do go wrong for our customers and some of that feedback that I was receiving.
Thank you. I'm going to jump down to Hannah's question because I think this is a great starting point for a lot of us. Hannah says, these are amazing results. I'd love to know what steps you took at the beginning of this effort to set yourselves up for reporting on these key results and metrics.
Oh, I'll take that one. And then I would love for maybe Danica, you'd have some insight to share as well on this. Like Kenzie said, this was our first journey map. We were just really focusing on skill building in this area. And one thing that we did not do at the very beginning is gather some metrics. So our business team very much, as they were implementing different improvements, we had different system accesses, and they were able to pull in some of those kind of before and after metrics. If we had the opportunity to redo this journey map again, I would say we would probably be more deliberate about looking at our customer experience metrics, maybe pulling in like customer satisfaction or like how many people were able to complete the task of completing their application online or something along those lines, and then look at that before and after. And then, yeah, I would love to have Danica chime in to answer the business metrics question.
Thanks, Alicia. So metrics are something that we are constantly tracking. We have been since I started with the DOL. So we already had a lot of the before data and actively gathered the data as we moved through the process. And that's everything from time to license to number of phone calls to customer satisfaction, because we do have methods of reporting that as folks go through the online process or even just go to our website, there's an opportunity to report any issues or even shout out to various team members, which we get pretty regularly because we have an amazing team. So, Dee, did you have anything to add? No?
Related to that, how much time elapsed between your baseline measurements and the final results that you shared today?
I can take that. Sorry. So the data that we presented today is up to date. It's current. So I would say, but before we finally saw real results, I would say probably about 6 months to really get a good foothold on the different changes that we made for our customers and be able to track that data.
Awesome. Okay, and what about how long did it take for the changes to the systems and processes? How long did that take?
Some changes we were able to make almost immediately, and some changes are just a constant work in progress, honestly. I mean, that's one of the great things about this customer journey mapping process that we went through, is it's not ever really over as far as improving the customer experience. It kind of shifted our focus and the way that we approach problem solving. So we're constantly making improvements to the system.
Let's see. Alani asks, how did you decide on the format of the actual journey maps and what elements to include?
Ooh, I can do that one. So the really cool thing about my job and about journey mapping is that it's a combination of this kind of analytical side and then this very creative side. So the decision on the format of the journey map is a creative process. There's a lot of iteration. There's a lot of showing it to other people to see, does my mental model of this make sense to you? And will other people to be able to understand that? But the creativity isn't just straight out of my head. There are so many resources that I was able to pull in. Specifically, there's a book called Mapping Experiences by, I believe, Jim Callback, something like that. And it has dozens and dozens of examples of different journey maps that were really amazing to see. And it showed different elements that were included based on the different goals of the journey map. So when I was deciding what to put in this journey map, it really did come back to what are the goals of this research and what are we trying to get out of this?
I would love to add just a tiny bit more to what Kenzie had said, and absolutely 100% on the skill set for this. Much of our business goals and the scope were driven by our project sponsorship and our project leadership on the business side. No one wants to get into a place where you're mapping customer journeys just because it's fun and there's no intention to do anything with them. So there were some specific business goals, and those really are what drive the elements, because we actually have a template that we had built early on, and we had like 20 different types of elements that you could include. We were thinking like a menu to choose from with our business teams when we were doing the initial setup. And really, I think you start to get to like 4 or 5 elements, and then it starts becoming overwhelming. And some of the other examples we have are like, do we want to know what kind of communications are happening at those different points? And then how do we pull those in? We almost always have emotions and thoughts as part of every customer journey map, because that's really like we're trying to understand from the customer point of view, and those are so compelling. But those are just some additional thoughts as well with the business scope.
Thank you. I'm really excited about this. question. Was there any pushback or skepticism about this approach from any stakeholders, and how did you overcome that?
Oh, wow. I I can start on that one, and then I'd love to hear from Dee and Danica if you've got some insight to share as well. Um, I'll say in general, anytime you're doing something new, it's change, which we are all humans. We are all busy. We do not want to spend the mental energy to figure out how to do something new. So I would say there is a lot of resistance around this. However, if you can be good partners and work at the pace that is available. There's a lot of constraints on our business teams right now. Um, then there are opportunities to add value throughout, and I think those kind of built on each other throughout this experience, and we've just have a lot of trust and partnership between our customer experience team and our business and professions team. Um, just throughout it. So, but that's not always going to be the case. There's others, other journey maps that we have done where, they've not gone very far, or there's reluctance or resistance to moving through those, and it's really practicing those great organizational change management principles, which one of them is a what's in it for me, and a big one for customer experience is it improves the employee experience. It's going to make your job easier. There's going to be business and operations benefits and improvements if you make things easier for customers. So Danica and Dee, what would you like to add to that?
I would add, thank you, Alicia. I would add that I didn't receive a ton of resistance from the public that we serve, the licensee base that we serve. They were excited to see improvements. And when we did discussions with our customers, they were more than willing to offer and share this could help us. Remember, they were going from paper to online, and that was a huge transition and something very, very new to capitalize on what Alicia was sharing with us. It was brand new to be interacting with us online. So they were excited to be able to operate and interact with us online successfully. So I don't recall a lot of resistance from the customers. Danica?
No, I don't think that any of our customer base had any pushback. Our team desperately wanted a better way of doing things. They really did. So they kind of just dove in and they were excited for the opportunity to work with Kenzie and Alicia and see what changes could be made. These were mostly things we had already been talking about for a long time. So it was exciting to get to really put them into action, lay them out in a way that was easy to understand, and then figure out what steps we could take to make these things happen.
So related to this process that y'all just did, what did your outreach to your external customers look like? And did you have any challenges in connecting with them, especially given a lot of these customers work, graveyard, overnight shifts?
I can talk about that. The outreach was, like I mentioned earlier, pretty difficult, trying to reach out to our security guards specifically. And I think a lot of that does come from the hours that they work. They're working swing shift or graveyard. I reached out a couple times to each person, once by email, once by calling, and just really struggled to get any traction with that. I reached out to many, many different people. And then at some point you just have to decide to take another route, which is when we decided to talk to the security guard companies instead. To do that, I worked with Danica and Dee to get a list of contacts of some of our biggest customers, and was able to coordinate with them pretty easily via email to get them to agree to some interviews with me. Anything to add that I'm missing, Alicia or Danica or Dee? Okay.
I'll add we just recently completed another journey map for our real estate licensing process and ran into a similar issue. So one of the things um, is to kind of know your audience. And some customers were not interested, did not have time to set up a meeting to do an interview with us, but they were absolutely willing to take a quick survey. Kenzie, in that case, we again didn't have many folks interested in doing an interview with us, but we rallied and pivoted and ended up doing a survey instead and got a much better response rate for those. So I think part of that is just knowing the industry, knowing the customers that you're working with and how they creating the easiest way for them to give you input and feedback.
Okay, Chris asks, what are some common pitfalls when examining the customer experience? Do you have any suggestions to avoid them?
Ooh, that's a great question. Um, one one common one, I feel like we've not seen it too much, but it is definitely out there in the customer experience industry. Um, Sometimes you have to look at stuff that you don't really want to see, like a really low customer satisfaction or the fact that only X% of your customers are able to do something online. So sometimes having a conversation with somebody who isn't really doesn't really want to see kind of the harsh reality or the harsh truth. Um, and ways that we have handled, we haven't really run into that a ton and on our team, but having really strong data is a good way to go about that. And then just trying to communicate it as a matter of fact information rather than, um, kind of uh, not bringing all your storytelling skills to the table, maybe for that particular one, are some skills that we've seen or that we have used in those spaces. And anything else y'all would add to that?
Lucy asks, as part of your outreach, did you include surveys and communication in any other languages besides English?
That is a great question. We did not do that at that time, but it is something that we definitely are interested in doing. We did have one person who was potentially going to complete an interview with us whose first language was in Spanish. So we were actually working on setting up some translation services for that. The interview ended up falling through, but while we didn't have that for this effort, it's something that we are very focused on for the future and making sure that we have a wide variety of different people's voices being heard.
Let's see, we have time for a couple more. There are a lot of great questions in here, so I apologize if I can't get to all of them. When testing your changes, did you stick to internal only testing or did you reach out to industry to test before deploying the online app?
I'm not sure. We don't have any technical like folks representing our technical processes. Does anyone know an answer to that question? We might have to pass if not.
Sorry, Alicia. I think we have to pass on that one. We definitely need our technical experts for that.
Okay. How did you determine the root cause of common pitfalls prior to making process improvements?
I can take that. I can say that using the customer feedback tools that we have online, really, I believe, and it's something that Kenzie and I talked about throughout this process, was these are the things that we're hearing most often. And working with our technical experts, also having them go through as if they were customers and finding that, yes, this is a pitfall, this is an issue. I can see why this would be confusing. So really, it was listening to the things that people struggled with most often, and there were a lot of common denominators there. So that is how we chose what our priorities were.
All right, and I have one final question for you. This comes from Ashley. What advice do you have if we don't have the data or haven't been capturing it in a consistent way? We get our share of complaints and are aware of plenty of pain points in many of our processes, but don't have a solid tracking mechanisms currently set up. Our agency does have great goals set, and I'm 100% for improvements, but not really sure where to start, especially when we have so many dumpster fires burning all at once.
That's a hard one. And I know we had mentioned this earlier as well, but I think two things that you can do yourself to get started that does not require you to have any data captured. Go do that task analysis. Literally go pretend you are a customer, walk through the system, walk through filling out that complaint form, walk through, call your contact center and, mystery shop your services. So that's one thing you can do right away. And then the second thing is to go talk to the business teams who support those customers. You can talk to your contact centers, folks who receive customers at the front counter. There's all kinds of different business models out there, but whoever you can talk to who support customers, go just ask them, why do people call? What are the top pain points that you run into? What seems to be making customers struggle the most, they will know.
All right, y'all. Well, that I think is all we have time for. Thank you all for attending. Thank you for your wonderful questions, and my apologies if we weren't able to get to all of them, but you should be able to find the contact information for these 4 wonderful ladies on our conference page. And before we go, we would love if y'all could take our really short survey that will pop up at the end of this Zoom webinar. We go through all of your feedback, and just like we talked about in this session, every piece of feedback is really helpful for us in continuously improving. So thank you, Alicia, Dee, Kenzie, and Danica for your time and all of your information. And we hope to see some resources in the future. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you so much. Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you.